Hey everybody, what's up and welcome back to another episode of the Dear Honey Podcast. I am Janicia Perry. Somebody late.
I'm sorry. Oh, pardon me. I am so sorry. Hello, yes. Welcome.
You gonna do the podcast in a robe?
I sure am. I don't see what the problem is with that. It's a good robe. It's a good robe. Yep.
Okay.
So I'm ready to start. I'm waiting on you.
You waiting on me?
I'm waiting on you.
So dear?
Yes, honey. I'm supposed to be the honey. You're supposed to be the dear.
I was waiting on you to say it, but you.
Okay, well, do it again. Just do it again. Cause I mean, sheesh.
You don't even know what that means.
So, dear.
Yes, honey.
What is on our agenda for today?
Well, it's quite fitting. Because today we are talking about red flags.
Red flags.
What are you doing?
I'm just got my nails.
Seriously?
They sticking out.
You can do that before or after this?
I mean, what? No, there's no better time like the present, I say. Anyway, why are you worried about me? We gonna do the podcast.
I'm trying to do the podcast and you over here clipping your nails.
Okay, well, listen, folks. Red flags. Let's talk about them. What you got? What are your red flags?
Well, let's talk about what is a red flag
what
first.
Is
red flags are, I guess, signs, signals, actions that you should not ignore when entering into a relationship or being in a relationship with somebody. My red flags.
Did you have some red flags when we first started dating?
With you?
Yes.
Yes. You didn't have no red flags with me?
I had a crap ton. It was so many red flags. I was about to wave the white flag and surrender.
You gonna stop throwing me up under the bus?
You gonna throw yourself under the bus. We're gonna talk about it one of these days. We're gonna go over the beginning and just get down in the nitty gritty of what really took place. What really happened in the start of the beloved Perry household when the two high school sweethearts started their journey. Was it all as daisies and love and I don't know the words that I'm looking for, but was it all that they make it seem to be?
No relationship is all daisies and love.
Not according to the people out there. That's why I'm excited to do this episode, these red flags, because people always come up and they say, man, Ed, can you give us advice on this? Sometimes they don't ask. Sometimes I just jump in because I'm tired of seeing it. So I just jump in and say something.
Yeah, you think you the love doctor.
I don't. I gave that title up a long time ago. I don't consider myself to be a love doctor, but, and I'm not claiming to be an expert today. Just want to make that clear as well. But there are some things I just think it's time that I just put out there. I'm doing this episode for me. If nobody wants this advice, this is just so I can get it off my chest. Because I'm tired of seeing the same thing over and over and over and over again. You can see how serious I'm taking this topic.
In your robe? In
my robe.
Okay. So I guess we starting with the red flags we saw in each other. And I feel like I should preface this as with...
They go a red flag that just jumped in the show.
I think I should preface this. I don't exactly think that red flags are necessarily the same as deal breakers. There are certain things that I absolutely will not tolerate.
But I think people get the red flags and deal breakers confused. But go ahead.
So in my opinion, a red flag, there may be something that your significant other does. If I can come to you and say, hey, I have an issue with this and we can come to some sort of compromise, or you make the effort to make sure that I'm comfortable, make sure that I'm happy. If you make the effort to try to fix whatever problem, or we can, have that conversation, even though it was a red flag, if you take that initiative to try to solve it after I come to you with it, that's something that I can get past. A deal breaker, on the other hand, I'm just not going to tolerate. Like being yelled at, I will absolutely not tolerate. You're not going to yell at me. You're not going to cuss at me. I said that very early on in our relationship. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to cuss at you. I'm not going to call you out of your name. And you're not going to do it to me. That is a strong, hard stop for me. Hard deal breaker.
Okay, but I did yell and I did fuss and I did scream when we first started dating.
And when I told you that I'm not comfortable with that, you stopped.
So a deal breaker can become a red flag or vice versa, and it's still a way to solve it.
Okay, so maybe I misspoke. If you would have laid your hands on me, then there's no way we can reconcile. I feel like that is a hard stop deal breaker. There's nothing that we can talk about if you put your hands on me. So
but
that
you
would be.
You can put your hands on me though. Okay.
I won't put my hands on you.
Okay.
Red flags when we first started dating. The yelling, which I learned was just how your family communicates, but I'm still not going to tolerate that. And you yell and fuss with everybody else, but you do not yell and fuss at me. So I'm very grateful for that. Another red flag that I had with you is like boundaries. I have very hard, strict boundaries when it comes to people outside of our relationship, whereas you are very friendly, not per se like flirtatious or anything like that. Even with like your family, you're very open and I'm very closed. So I feel like we had to come to a compromise. That took a little while to get to a compromise. But setting boundaries when it comes to people outside of our relationship. Another red flag. I can't really think of another red flag I had with you.
Oh, how sweet.
You want to get your notebook out for your list?
Well, since you brought it up, let me go. I don't have the notebook. But I'm not going to get into all of the I want to save a lot of the red flags that I saw for another episode because that will dive into a totally different
Dang,
outlook.
I'm just the worst.
No, you're not the worst. I mean, it was just some things that just took me by surprise and that I wasn't ready for it. It was a lot of things that was like abort mission, just leave, run while you can. And then there was some things that were like, it was heartbreaking. It was like, oh gosh. I mean, so it was a lot of different things just in the beginning, that were just.
You had to work through.
We had to work through. Which is why I advocate so much to people as it relates to red flags. Because now it seems like no matter who I talk to, and I hope I'm not putting too many people's business out here. I'm not putting your name on it. But like, for instance, we have a friend dating a guy. Her and the guy are going good. Everything is great. And then the next day, we just can't work out. It's not gonna work. And I'm like, well, why isn't it gonna work? Well, I was on the phone with my girlfriend and he said that he couldn't respond to me right away because he had a headache and he had Tylenol. He had to take Tylenol. And she told me he must have a woman over there. And I called him. I was like, well, why don't you tell that B to get you together and help you heal your head? And she was like, I'm just hearing it. And I'm like, are you serious right now? And she got upset with him. First of all, because he didn't respond right away. And in her mind, he was cheating. The fact that he couldn't respond, he was cheating. And then thirdly, she was upset because the next day he didn't follow up with her. Are are you serious? Are you I can't I'm gonna come back to that. I got another friend. This is on the male side. He has these rules of engagement. I when you talk to a woman on Instagram, there's a certain waiting period that you have to do. 24 you send a message and like their picture, and if they respond back, I can't respond right away cuz then I look thirsty. But I got a 24-hour window, and within that window, I got to do. And then I'm gonna post another picture, and if she likes that picture, I'm like, what is happening right now? And then if she doesn't respond within that time period, you wasting your time because she's not interested. And I have a red flag, just a headache. I just cannot take. And I'm like, do you want to be with somebody? Do you want to be alone? I don't understand. It does not make sense. It does not compute.
I think that we've been, especially our generation, has been programmed to play games. Like from a young age, like women are told if a boy is mean to you, then that mean he like you. Or, you know, those different things that we're told as a child. Like I was told that you can't respond right away or you look thirsty, or like that stuff is taught. But I also agree with you. I feel like if you talk to anybody who's been in a long relationship, don't nobody want to play games all their life. Like if you are really trying to be in a relationship, I don't have to worry about double texting you. I'll text you 6 times in a row and no, I don't care. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like if you are holding on to your pride, your ego, trying to not look thirsty or like I've heard women say like, I can't be my full crazy yet or something like that. I just don't see it lasting, or it's going to take a lot of work to last in a relationship.
And that's what, and so I got to go back to those two scenarios. I want to come back because I know some people are like, well, maybe he was cheating with another woman. Ed, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. So for those people that are already on the fence, I asked, I said, has he given you a reason to think that he's being unfaithful? The answer was no. So why would you accuse a person simply because your girlfriend on the phone told you if he ain't answering, he must be with another? I can't, I'm trying not to cuss, but he must be.
But so if in my past relationships, he
can't be held accountable for that.
I understand. I completely agree with you, but I also feel that people, it's like somebody said trauma is like hurting yourself. Like if I burnt myself on the iron, I'm going to be more cautious around the iron. Even if I know that it's unplugged, because I burnt myself on this iron, I'm always going to be more flinchy when it comes to the iron. And so even though you may or may not logically understand that, hey, this don't make sense, you're still flinching because of the hurt. Which goes into a big issue I have when I talk to a lot of my single friends is you need to heal yourself.
You have to. Well, that's another thing we gotta
work on yourself. And I feel like oftentimes an issue that I see, especially with my generation, is we like to point fingers. He did this, she did that, and we never take the time to examine what we could have done better or what we may have contributed to cause those actions and things like that.
Have you ever noticed when we ask them, they can give you a list of everything that the other person did, and when we ask, well, what did you do? They don't have a list. There is no list that when you ask, well, what did you do? What can you do to be better in it? I'm doing everything right. And that's impossible. Listen, people, I'm sexy, I'm talented, I'm funny, I'm smart, I'm sweet, I'm kind, I'm compassionate. I am the perfect spouse. But in the beginning, I know I still contributed to some of the flaws in our relationship.
You don't think that you still contribute to the flaws in our relationship?
No, I'm the perfect companion.
Okay.
I mean, look at. Do you not see how seriously I take these things?
Okay.
Okay, seriously, all jokes aside, yes, I still contribute. There are still some things that I'm contributing to the flaws that are within our marriage and our union, whatever the case may be. But you have to be willing to accept that and realize that, hey, you know what? I know I'm not perfect either, so what can I do to make this situation better? I got to go back to my friend earlier with the guy, because that's recent and that just pokes me. I took the phone. I said, hey, you know what? Why don't you call him and apologize and tell him, hey, you know what? I shouldn't have accused you of, being unfaithful and all of that stuff. And she goes, no, I'm not going to. Why should I apologize? I mean, he didn't say he didn't. So she didn't want to apologize. But you know what? I said, you know what? Forget it. I called the brother. I picked up her phone, dialed the number, because I'm just crazy like that. I called the brother, picked up the phone. I said, hey, sir, this is so-and-so's friend. Listen, man, she misses you. She's sorry. She just want to talk to you. And she said, no, I don't want to talk to him because he didn't offer to buy me food today. So he said, well, what does she want to eat? I said, what do you want to eat? He's asking what you want to eat. I don't have anything to say to him. So I took the phone off of my ear and gave it to her. And he said, I heard him audibly say, what do you want to eat? And she said, nothing, forget it. Hung up in the guy's face, threw the phone down. And later that day, she says, he didn't even offer to get me anything to eat. He could have just brought me anything. How in the Sam hell is he gonna know what to bring you? And you, first of all, you hung up in his face. Secondly, he asked you twice, what do you want to eat? And you just, oh gosh, I just can't take it anymore. It just boils my blood because
this goes back into your Captain Save-A-Ho. I don't care.
I'm not trying to say, but I'm doing it for this one person, but I'm really trying to do it for everybody. I'm like, I want you guys to understand the concept that you have to grow together. No spouse comes out of the box ready to be perfect. You have to work and grow together. That's my point.
I understand that. In the first case with the girl, your female friend, I'm aware of this relationship thing, her situationship. And I think that more than anything, if you're an immature person as a single, you're gonna be immature in a couple. So it's gonna be hard to try to advise her in a mature way of how to be in a relationship when she is an immature person by herself.
I don't necessarily agree with that. We got a family member who was married. They got married, and in my opinion, we were started dating around the same time. We kind of followed along the same path as them. They're a little bit older than us, and just from the first time I met them, they just argued about everything. No matter what, it was an argument. It was the smallest thing that could create an argument for 3 and 4 weeks, right? Well, last year, we're on the phone with the family member, and she goes, hey, my baby wants to put sugar in the freezer. And for the life of me, I just cannot comprehend why that matters. It doesn't. I don't care about the sugar or anything. And she said, but you know what? I realized one thing. Is it going to kill me that the sugar is in the freezer? Is it going to destroy my life? I mean, she just laid it out. It was like she had an epiphany that it's okay. I don't have to argue with him about that. But because they were willing to love each other and grow together and mature together, I mean, it blew my mind.
I
I
understand
wasn't
that.
even listening, but when she said that, my ear, I said, huh?
I understand that, but I still feel like there's a certain, they still had a certain level. They did argue like cats and dogs, but that was kind of, that's their love language, arguing. They, or debating, I'll say, they debate about whether the sky is light blue or sky blue, or if the street is just black or whether it's gray. They just like to debate with each other. But I think that in some cases, people are just childish by themselves. Like, even outside of my relationship, I'm childish, I'm petty, I'm a tit for tat.
She just described me.
You say that, but you're not. You're not.
You don't think I'm petty? You don't think I can go tit for tat with somebody?
You can, but you don't often. Somebody has to really, really push your buttons. On the other hand, we have some people who are just immature. That's, I would say that they're red flag. The playing games, the need to like follow certain rules to be in a relationship. They have that red flag. And then we have people who ignore red flags completely. People who are in relationships that they should not be in, and you're unhappy. Your significant other is unhappy. Your kid's unhappy, and you just are taking it.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are the people that just really need somebody. I don't want to be alone, so I would rather be here with you unhappy.
I'd rather have hard times with you.
Well, that's even for the people that are happy. That Luther Vandross song, I mean, that doesn't mean that he was unhappy. He just, with love, you're going to have hard times. You're going to have moments where you don't like each other. You're going to have moments where you butt heads. So I think that's normal within any relationship. I mean, like you said, I think it's certain things that you should say, okay, I can't take this. The abuse of children, abuse of family, abuse
And
of
that's
you,
physical or emotional abuse.
physical, emotional. So I think that's, you might really need to do some serious reflecting on yourself if that's the kind of
Habitual
relationship you're in.
cheaters.
Well, I mean,
What?
is that a red flag? I mean,
If I'm in a relationship and you cheat on me once, and we get past it, and then you continuously cheat on me, you don't think that that's a red flag?
how much money do you have?
Goodbye. You are on one tonight. I should have known when you came in here in this room.
Okay, so anyway, back on topic.
Another common, I don't know if I would call it a red flag, but an issue that I see in single women is that we think that we can change a man, or like we'll see the potential in what he can be or what we can be, and instead of accepting where he is, we try to just hope that we can change him or something like that.
Well, I don't think it's anything wrong with it. I do think you can change, obviously, no matter what, in any relationship. From my experience and from what I've seen, you will change a person if you guys are together long enough. There's some things you guys are gonna pick up. Like, I mean, it's no secret that now I can think of something and I'm like, man, I don't know, I want some spinach. And by the end of the day, you'll come home and you'll be like, man, I've really been craving some some spinach. And it's like we're connected like that. That's where I think the whole soul ties thing comes into play. That's a different thing. But anytime you connect or you really, you are sexually active with somebody, I think this is just my hypothesis. you create those soul ties, and you really do start to become intermerged as one, where you guys will start thinking alike, you guys will start swapping traits. There's some things that I started off as in the beginning before we, merged, that now you start to do. There are a lot of things that you did before that I wasn't doing, and then as we continued to grow together, now I started to do. So we kind of switch traits and we merge and we become one. We start to share the same mind, the same body. It sounds like I'm on one, but seriously, I don't want the married couples, if you can relate to what I'm saying, you'll know. And then just naturally, if you're around somebody for so long, you start to become iron sharpens iron, birds of a feather flock together. So you will impact and change each other. It just depends on what kind of change it is.
I think I agree and I disagree. I think that only happens when you want to, when not necessarily that you want it to, but when you're invested in a person, or like you are, I don't know, that you want to put effort into the relationship. But I've had other relationships that have tried to make changes in me, some of the changes that you have helped me make, but I didn't care, so I didn't change. You know what I'm saying?
I think that plays into who has the I agree, it does take two people, the right person, but I still think,
do you think that some of the changes that you've seen in me, like we talk about all the time, we said in an earlier episode that you had a crush on my best friend from high school, and you have always said, like, when we reflect and you think, like, would it have worked out, you don't think so. But if I changed, then she could have changed.
True, but when I say I don't think it would have worked out, I think, social media is prevalent. So now, as opposed to like when our parents were in high school, they couldn't really keep tabs on or see the growth of whoever it was they went to school with. Even though we don't talk with our people and our friends from high school all the time, you can still track their progress from college, jobs. You can see how their life is doing. So I think just recently for me, when I see like her opinions or her ideas on certain things, I'm like, man, we are on two totally opposite ends.
But you could have changed her.
We could have, but it, like you said, and then this is also going to be a big part of it. I know some people might get offended when I say this, but it's going to be on who has the stronger sense of self. In our relationship, there were some things that came in the door like, listen, I ain't changing this. That's what it's gonna be. It's for better or worse, take it or leave it. I'm not changing. And likewise, there were some things you came in the door with. Okay, well, I ain't changing. This is what I'm doing, for better or worse. And some things we had to bend on. Some things we were like, I gotta surrender. You know what? But even though I don't like it, or I don't accept it, or I don't understand it, or I may not even care, because it's you, I will tolerate, or I will embrace, or I will maneuver through this with you. So it's a lot of factors. How much do I actually want to be in this relationship? Is it something I'm willing to change or grow? I came in the door a church boy, and you were
still a church boy.
Not as much. Not as much. And you came in the door a party girl. Seriously, you came in the door a party girl, and I was like, no, I'm not taking that. Hell no, I don't want to go. You got by the blood of Jesus. Go!
Yes.
Is healing your body right now.
I came in the door doing that, and you were like, yeah, so I don't know about all of that. I'm still in high school. I still like to enjoy things. I want to do A, B, and C. And I was like, well, you want to do A, B, and C, you can see your way right on out this relationship because I ain't doing it. And you were like, well, I mean, how hard could it be to make those changes? And you changed.
I feel like it's not necessarily that I'm not a party girl anymore. I just have more. I don't know. I just enjoy a different type of party. Like in high school, I feel like the partying was just everybody following everybody. Whereas now, like when I go out with my girls or something, we just enjoy, to be honest, we just enjoy being stupid. Like when I go out with my girls, we drink, we might have dinner, we dance, we do karaoke or whatever. We're just really silly. And so instead of me trying to crowd please or follow the crowd, now when I go out, it's just to enjoy myself and my company. I mean, I can't do what I want to do right now because I got that baby. But I don't feel like that's something that changed only because of you. I think that I grew up a little and found what I liked instead of me trying to please other people.
But you do have to admit there's something in this relationship that kind of steered you towards that. You don't think so?
I agree. And what I'm at the heart of what I'm saying, I think we're saying the same thing, is that the individuals in a relationship have to care enough or have to want to put effort in order to make that type of change. If I didn't care, then we just probably wouldn't have worked out.
Exactly.
That's
so
what
I
I've
think
been saying this whole time.
I know, but you're saying that. I'm saying in general, you're gonna change in a relationship, no matter what, whether it be for the better or for the worse. Whenever you get in any relationship, you're going to change. There is no way around it. You will change. There's some people who don't smoke, they don't do drugs, they don't do weed, they don't do nothing, they don't drink or anything. They get in a relationship with somebody that does that, and then guess what? Eventually they start doing it. So you're going to change.
I'm not saying that you're not going to change, but I'm saying oftentimes when I talk to single women or just women in general, we think that I can make you, like, it's like build a bear. I can build this man into exactly what I want him to be. I want him to have this six pack and this head and this arms and this personality trait. Like, women oftentimes go into relationships thinking that it's like a Burger King, have it your way. And not saying that you can't build or find your perfect mate or as perfect as can be, but if they are not invested enough into you or into your relationship, he's not going to change in the way that you want him to change.
And I will add to that and say he will never change to be the complete person, or she will never change to be the complete person that you want them to be. Mm-hmm. We've been together for 10 years and I'm sure there's still some things that you would change about me, and likewise I about you. But I mean, our anniversary was a great point. People from the outside looking in will say, oh, they're the perfect couple, Lord, Michelle and Barack are so sweet together. But on the inside they may be like, I love my wife, I love my husband, but I still wish he would do it. I hate when she does that. I just dislike that. So, but going back to our earlier point, to tie it all in together, because we know that nobody will ever be perfect and we're growing and evolving together, I think there's a sense of honesty that you have to have in a relationship. If you're serious, if you're gonna be together, you have to be open and honest enough to really say,
you can go ahead with your thought.
Okay.
You have to be open and honest enough.
You threw me off. Okay, I think you really have to be open and honest enough to say, this is who I am. This is what it's going to be coming in. And I think for us, that's why it worked, because there were no games coming in the door. Like you said, I wasn't trying to do anything that didn't make me seem interested or thirsty or whatever the case may be. I came in,
We were best friends first, so I knew you.
all my cards were on the table. It was, this is what it is. Take it or leave it. What we're gonna do with the cards, as opposed to coming in. Okay, it's 10 o'clock. I can't send her a text just yet. I gotta wait until tomorrow. Or, and my friend, when I told him that, I was like, we didn't do that. He says, yeah, well, you didn't have the social media that we had in high school. I'm like, man, we just graduated 2013. Come on, man, 2012 or whatever it was. I mean, it wasn't like that, but just, I would say you cannot be successful starting a relationship with playing games. But obviously you got something coming up. So I'm saying go into it being truthful, open, and honest.
Okay, I wasn't trying to throw you off your game. I just had another topic that I wanted to bring up. So according to the relationship experts, these are the top most common 11 red flags that you shouldn't ignore. And I just wanted to hear your opinion, or both of our opinions, on whether we agree or disagree with these red flags.
Okay.
So, love bombing. And love bombing is when somebody gets in a relationship and falls in love instantly, you know, like the moving super quick.
I don't think that's a red flag. Some people just know what they want and they go for it wholeheartedly.
I do think it's a red flag. That was a red flag I had with you in the beginning.
Wow.
You told me you loved me extremely early. You remember that?
I'm a person who loves people. I tell a lot of people I love them.
And I'm
like Andrew Garfield in No Way Home. I love you guys. Just met him, but I know that I love you. I really do. It's easy for me to love people. It's not that hard for me.
Yeah. And for me, I'm not a very trusting person in general. Like, even outside of my relationship, it takes me a while to warm up. Like, when you first meet me, anybody who's ever met me will think that I'm very quiet, and most people think I'm mean because of my facial expressions. But then once you get to know me, I talk too much, and you can't get me to shut up. And I'm most of the time very sweet and caring. Once you get to know me, but it takes me a while to get there. Okay.
Take it or leave it.
The next one, an obsession with social media.
Yes,
Red
I do
flag?
think that might be a red flag.
What if it's their career?
Still shouldn't be obsessed with it. I mean, I was told when I was saying, man, I want to be a comedian, they said it's either going to be the comedy or your wife. Choose ye this day. And I was like, okay, well, I'll dedicate to my wife and the comedy will come after. And here I am.
Okay. I do agree. I think that people who are obsessed with social media and looking a certain way on social media, like especially the people who gotta post all of their business on social media, I should not know what color drawers you got on today based off your Facebook post. Like, that really irks. That's one of my pet peeves. So I agree with you on that one. The next one is lack of communication.
100% agree. That's what this whole podcast has been about, that you gotta communicate.
I agree as well. And I think also an important part of relation, and we've said this multiple times, learning how to speak each other's language, because sometimes we misunderstand each other, and it can just be literally that, a misunderstanding. Controlling or jealous behavior.
Yes, but you have to be careful on what's deemed controlling or jealous. So yeah, it is a red flag, but you have to be able to discern: are they being controlling and jealous, or are they just, I don't know, being protective, or are they concerned, or whatever the case may be. So you got to know how to discern what it is.
It's funny that you bring that up, because the first thing I think of, so in our relationship, we share our location with each other, mostly because I'm a worry wart, and there were times where, you know how you tell somebody, text me when you make it home, or like, you were working all kind of hours, so I'm thinking that you on the way home and you ain't made it home yet. So my mind immediately will jump to, you done got into a car crash and you on the side of the road or something like that. And I know that makes no sense, but that's my logic. I am a worrisome person. But when we talk to other couples and say that we share our location with each other, or there have been times my phone is always dead, and so the fact that you can at least know where I am, know where I am or where I was last. But when we talk to other couples, some people find that controlling, but for us, that is just peace of mind for me.
I mean, I would do it when the baby comes and he's old enough. I would probably want to know where his location is as well. Not because I'm always spying. Trust me, if there's anybody who likes privacy and being alone and being out of the know, it's me. I like to have my own private space. But she has my location, and it's not out of spite of me being like, oh, I gotta share it. I just, here, you can know.
But I also am not like, oh, you've been at Kroger for 20 minutes and it was only supposed to take you 10 minutes. Like that would be a bit far. But sometimes if you're not, like if you were on the way home or you were on the way out of town or something, and you haven't told me that you made it yet, before I check your location, I'm gonna text you and make sure you're all right. But then if you still don't respond to my text messages for whatever reason, then I would check your location just to make sure you're alive. Yeah.
I'm trying to keep it short because I don't want us to go over time.
Okay. Bad relationships with friends or family.
I 100% agree with that. That is a red flag, because how they treat their family may be a sign. Not always, but it may be a sign. There may be bad relationships within the family unit, or the family dynamic. But most times, if their relationship with those that have been with them isn't good, it's probably not going to be good for you.
And I think that this is situational. I think that especially our generation is not, we're not allowing ourselves to be in toxic relationships, whether that be with family, friends, jobs, whatever the case may be. So I think it's situational. If you don't talk to your mom because she abused you, or if you don't talk to your dad because I don't know, whatever, if it's something traumatic like that and they're not willing to take responsibility or, try to build a relationship, then I'm okay with you not having a good relationship. If it's for something dramatic like that.
I agree, and I disagree with what you just said, because most times in this reality show world we live in, we create the toxicity. It's not even that. You don't talk with your mama, oh, she always trying to control me. And then you just find out that mom was just like, well, no, I know her sister was kidnapped as a child, so I just worry about, you ain't finna control me.
I get that, but I'm saying if it's like abuse or molestation or something like that.
Absolutely. In those extreme situations, I agree. But I think our generation also just creates this toxicity that we have to thrive on. I'm not going to take, which we bring into relationships.
Okay. The next one is extreme emotional reactions.
What do you mean by extreme emotional reactions?
If someone displays unmanageable emotions and easily flies off the handle, this is a serious red flag. Like the examples they gave were uncontrollable rage, the silent treatment, abusive behavior, or if someone is completely void of emotions.
Yeah, that can definitely be a red flag.
This was one of my red flags because I'm an extreme person. Whether it's happy, like I'm the person that'll cry over fruit roll-ups because you bought me fruit roll-ups. I'm not an extremely rageful person, but I used to be a crybaby. Like I used to cry for every little thing. I'm still kind of a crybaby.
I think there were a lot of extreme emotions that we went through when we first started dating. Just, I think for me, that was one of our red flags where you were just extremely over emotional, and we're not gonna get into it. I'm gonna wait. That's gonna be a really powerful episode when we sit down and open that up and just to really take a deep dive in it. I think that's gonna help so many people when we talk about that. I'm ready to talk about it.
Okay. Alcohol or substance abuse?
I don't want to say that because I've never done drugs or alcohol in my life. For me, it's a red flag, but I know sometimes people will take that and say, "Well, oh Ed, you don't understand." So I'm not gonna touch it.
I do think that alcohol or substance abuse are red flags. It's not something that you should ignore. The next one, gaslighting.
These gas prices are ridiculous.
That is
So
not what
I
that
mean,
means.
anytime that gas light come on, you got to work with people.
That
I
is
mean,
not what
it's
that means. Do you know what gaslighting
what is gaslighting?
Gaslighting is where, like, if I come to you with a problem, or if I come to you saying that you did something that made me feel this way, you turn around and blame it on me and somehow make yourself the victim. So, like, if I say, what?
I think that was one of our red flags.
I don't know where you're going with that one. We'll have to, when we get to that.
Yeah,
episode.
when we get to that episode, we'll talk about the gaslighting. But yes, that is a red flag. And just because they're red flags does not mean you can't work through them and grow with each other on them. But yes, I do think that's a red flag.
I agree. I think that gaslighting is a red flag. I think that, in my opinion, your significant other should be like your best friend. You should feel the most comfortable talking to them about anything. Downright abusive behavior.
Abso-freaking-lutely. If somebody putting their hands on you, you need to beat the dog.
You know that we can add the sound effects later. You
Oh,
don't
we
have
can.
to.
I can cuss. If somebody putting their hands on you, you need to take your hands and choke the.
That was way too far. That was way too far.
Okay. Well, you said we can bleep it out, so bleep that. That's how serious you should do if somebody put their hands on you.
That was way too far.
Tell them your mother.
Is healing your body right now. Move that back around now.
Stop it.
Okay. You're going to have to bleep my mouth too, because I don't want them to see me cussing.
All right. That's it for my list.
You lint liquor?
Who are you calling Cootie Queen? All right. That's it for my list.
That's it for your list. Okay. All right. Well, listen. Long story short, I think we're running low on time. I may have to come back to this episode because I have so much to say. I want to go back to the last thing, well, the very first thing we talked about those two situations. I'll start off with the social media thing. Don't play games. I mean, it's not, if somebody actually likes you and they actually want to be with you, I don't think there is a mechanical game that you have to play with these people to try and get over on them. If you like them, shoot them a DM. Say, hey, can I take you to lunch, whatever. If they don't respond, it doesn't always mean that they ghosted you. Maybe life happened. Maybe they got hacked, whatever the case may be. For those that are in those relationships and you create these scenarios and the guy is supposed to do this or the girl is supposed to do that, like my friend who turned down dinner, the worst thing I have ever seen happen in a relationship is a toxic best friend. You remember when your best friend got mad with me because I gave...
Okay, let's end this episode. Is there a random kind of frivolous red flag that you have?
Yes.
Not just for me, but for women
just
in general.
if a woman has bad hygiene, run.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Run.
Okay.
Run.
My frivolous red flag is a man who doesn't like peanut butter. I feel like, you remember in that the book Winn-Dixie, when she was like, you can't trust a dog that don't like peanut butter. I feel that way about men.
So that is so specific to a certain somebody.
It's not just him. It's not just him.
That is just...
He was the straw that broke the camel's back, but it wasn't just him.
Well.
It's very random, but I'm very leery. Not just of men either. People in general who don't like peanut butter. I always think about Winn-Dixie. You can't trust a dog.
To our non-peanut butter fans out there, we still love and appreciate you. We're not discriminating.
We've already said that a red flag, it doesn't mean that we can't work through it, but it is something that pops up in my head. Oh, they don't like peanut butter.
I don't have anything against you. At least still love me, even if you don't like. She's sitting on the red flag side. You see her red over there? I'm on the blue flag side. So anyway, we thank you guys so very much. We're getting closer to the fourth member of the Perry podcast family. So we're really excited about that.
Reggie is the third, just to make that.
Yeah, Reggie is the third. Well, Maxwell probably would have been this would probably be number 5. Anyway, we just thank you guys so much. Listen, please like, share. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Anchor. Listen, let's share this show. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. Leave a comment down below.
If there's a topic you'd like to see us discuss.
Whatever it is, you just let us know. And I haven't forgotten. I know some of y'all are like, man, they keep on talking about this watermelon. I just cannot find a watermelon. That's literally what's taking the show so long.
When they come in season and they're being sold at the grocery stores, then we'll do it.
We will. And then I know some people like, well, they got them in the grocery store. I saw them. My wife says they are not big enough to duplicate the experience that she has been having. He tried to use the cantaloupe.
No.
So, I mean, we got to find the right size watermelon to add to the fun. And hopefully, prayerfully, we find that watermelon before he actually comes. So we just got a lot of great things in store. Thank you guys so much. Like, share, comment. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. If you're on Anchor FM, subscribe. If you're on Facebook, I don't know how you can subscribe, but
you can
just
like our page.
Like the page, love the page, share the page, feel the page. The page ain't got a red flag, but it does have a blue flag. Oh, somebody's feeling it right now. Listen, if you love this podcast right now, I want you to sow. Put some right here on the bottom.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next Thursday at 7.
And go!